What's going on, everybody? Chase with IW Hockey here today with Trevor Drummond from CCM Hockey, hanging out in Montreal with a very exciting, brand new CCM Tacks XF Pro line. As always, I'm excited to get into the tech and spec this year. Let's talk about fit profile and maybe the overall style of skater you built Tacks for.
Absolutely. So Tacks is always going to be our power skate. You have a stiffer boot than Jet Speed. We're looking for players that are putting a lot of meat into that skate, really putting forceful strides into every push on the ice. A player like Austin Matthews, perfect example of the type of player that loves our new Tacks XF Pro line as well. In terms of the fit system, tapered, regular, and wide, we're using the same fits as we have in the last few years in CCM. You have the 3 fits here in the top 2 price points, the XF Pro and the XF. Also have our game-ready fit adjustments in these elite skates as well that we'll talk about. As we get into the mid-range here, then we have our regular and wide fits, very similar that we had in years past. Always looking to improve that comfort. We want you coming back into CCM and it feeling just as good or even better than your last pair.
So you mentioned comfort and feeling even better. That's the first thing I noticed when I put on the XF Pro, even before I baked it. So we have some big changes underneath the hood, but what really generated that upgraded comfort that we find this year?
That's a great question. So we've talked before about our game ready fit, which is where we remold the boots before it gets to the box. And what we've done there is really put it in a better heel lock, all focused around the ankle foam area, giving a better fit straight out of the box, better wrap around the forefoot, but straightening out the eyelets around the top so that when you mold it for your feet, you're wrapping around your ankles and having a nice tight heel lock for skating performance on the ice.
What about the toes too this year? That's something that I noticed as well, especially near that juncture. What did you guys change there this year?
That's a great question, Chase. So our toe box for 2024 is completely redesigned, giving better fit in and around the boot and toe box juncture, also giving it a nice sleeker profile and overall better integration with the rest of the skate.
So you said sleek profile, and that is something I definitely think of when I look at the XF Pro and the XF. So we have a big change aesthetically this year, but also in terms of the construction with that forced composite. So in terms of just obviously visually speaking, but for that player at home, what is that forced composite gonna do for you?
Our forced composite construction, which is new in the Tacks XF Pro for 2024, is really a new boot material for CCM. And it's going to be stiff like our Tacks always have, but it has a much more pop and much more performance benefits on the ice as well. So it molds better to your foot and it maintains its shape and its stiffness longer. So it's a more durable construction and it's a more higher performing construction as well.
So you mentioned pop. That's a new term I've got to say in skates, but when you go out and feel it, you feel that kind of boot snap back a little bit, almost like a stick releasing. But that's something you also feel the top of the foot and the back of the foot too. So in terms of the tendon guard as well as the tongue there, some slight alterations. Let's talk about those next.
Absolutely. So starting with the tongue, we're bringing back a new and improved version of the tongue from the FT6 Pro line, which is all about that pop and that energy return. So with our forced composite and our flex motion lace bite, those two working together really have that pop effect, that snap back like a stick like you mentioned on the ice. Our tendon as well, we've adjusted this year. So we've changed the profile a little bit to move it a little bit closer to the back of the foot, but still maintaining that range of motion, that flexibility, so that every stride, you're getting a little bit more push, you're getting a little bit more extension, and you're getting popped right back into the next one.
Now, one last thing to touch on before we hop into the XF Pro. We touched about comfort too, but I really want to talk about the foams in the liner, where they extend, and just the overall feel that you're going to experience the first time you put on the XF Pro, like I did today.
Great question. So in our liner, we have a new responsive memory foam, which gives you comfort all the way down to the boot, not only up around the ankles, but all the way down into the boot cap junction to give you extra comfort, great wrap, but also it's gonna last throughout the lifespan of the skate.
And last but not least, as we're looking below the boot here between the XF and the XF Pro, we see some similarities, but also some differences. So before we move into the mid, what do we have going on below the boot?
Well, on the XF Pro, obviously, step black steel, best in the business. Very proud to be partnering with them for CCM, obviously for multiple years now. Step black steel is the top of the market here, but what's new as we come down to the XF skate here is we put step V steel into our main skate line for the first time. Looks great on the shelf, gives added performance value to that second price point that hasn't been there before. Other kind of similarities and differences, the boot molds are similar, but Your forced composite is only in the XF Pro. We get into a different composite material in the second price point. We have the same flex motion, lace bite, tongue technology here as well. Same game ready fit, but your boot construction, as well as your blade and some of the interior parts give you a little bit more value here at the second price point.
Yeah, so still elite level performance, but at a little more of a budget conscious price. And that's kind of how I describe the XF90 and the XF80. Someone's still looking for true performance in a one-piece boot, which is hard to find at this price point, but still offering a ton of great performance too. So what really stands out to you and that you're really proud about?
Exactly, well, keeping on the steel, step steel at this price point for the XF90 is obviously incredible performance value. The one-piece boot, as you mentioned, we're using a carbon construction for the XF90. Great comfort inside as well. The memory foam for the liner comes all the way through the Tacks skate line here. We obviously then have different fit profiles as we go into the mid. We have different tongues as we come into the mid, but all there for comfort, performance, and value for your consumers.
And as we talk about the XF90, moving into the XF80, this has the regular and the wide fit system. Would you say that still accounts for the vast majority of the players out there?
Oh, absolutely. Especially in mid-range where you're trying to fit more players without the same kind of pro-level snugness. You're able to get that, especially after you bake it, in each of these mid-price points, absolutely. For the XF80, what's new here too is the XS1 Pro blade profile. So that's a new blade for us in the mid-price point. We're looking at replicating the dimensions of the step steel blade, but obviously without step steel's higher level of stainless steel material, still the best bang for the buck that we've got here in CCM skates on the XF80. One-piece boot, as you mentioned, very comfortable, molded lace bite, 7mm felt tongue, and the boot cut ankle foams. Everything around these mid-price point skates is designed to have you feel good and play good on the ice.
And I think that's really special what you did with the XS1 Pro steel this year too, because that is such a big change. If you are kind of at the lower end of the performance price point, and then you hop into your XF90 that has that Pro profile, you're gonna really notice that. So this gives you that pro level feel in terms of your steel height, getting you prepared as you move up the line too. And then last but not least, we have the XF70. Again, we're saying this a lot here, but offering a lot of value, especially for that player that's really getting into competitive hockey. So if you're in the market shopping for skates, what makes the XF70 stand out from the competition?
Well, this one is all about value and comfort. So we have our XS blade system still here on the XF70. We have a beautiful rich boot with multiple layering to give you that durability, but it's gonna be a boot that's gonna be a lot easier to get into. Like you say, if you're just coming into competitive hockey, we want you to feel great on the ice. The comfort foam's on the inside, the comfort boot cut pad at the top, and a wonderful, nice thick tongue, the liner foam all the way down through the skate as well. We really just want you to feel good and have a blast out there as you enter into your next phase of your hockey career.
While looking really good too.
Absolutely.
Well, Trevor, as always, thanks so much for having us out here and walking us through the Tacks line.
My pleasure.
And for you at home, I'm gonna check out each and every model in the XF Pro line. Make sure you head over to icewarehouse.com.